The state funding formula says, if you can show that there is a need, the state is obligated to provide the money. So Dr. Evans, put the proposal together, give it to the council, give it to the mayor, give it to the assembly people, give it to Congressman Pascrell, Senator Booker, and Menendez, and let them do the fight. Let them hold the governor, who is an attorney, obligated by law, took an oath to uphold the law. While we're suing, let's sue to have his attorney's license revoked too, because he's not doing his job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrer. All right, we will now have the statement of compliance read by Board President Dr. Jonathan Hodges.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of, to attend the meetings of the Paterson Public School District, as well as other public bodies in which any business affecting the interest of the public is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this law, the Paterson Public School District has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted in the office of the city clerk of the city of Paterson at the entrance of the Paterson Public School offices on the district's website, and by sending notice of the meeting to the Arab Voice, El Diario, the Italian Voice, the North Jersey Herald and News, and the Record. Thank you, Madam President. We appreciate having this opportunity tonight to present to you our concern over the impending fiscal crisis that this district, and of course this city, is facing in the coming years. We are not here to battle over budget items. We're not here to talk about tax bases, because we haven't even looked at our budget yet. We are here to discuss shortfalls of money that we're entitled to. If you recall, in November, I came to this council and I told you that there was potential that we'd be flat funded or worse, and that would wreak havoc with our budget moving forward, that this city would be in significant jeopardy educationally if the laws of this state were not being followed appropriately.
Members of the administration and community. My name is Rosie Grant, and I'm Executive Director of Paterson Education Fund, 152 Market Street. The citizens of Paterson cannot afford a tax increase. Neither can the Paterson Public Schools afford a $5 million budget cut. You probably already know that Governor Christie is breaking the law, and by fighting about it locally, we're playing into his hands. We have a New Jersey School Funding Reform Act, which is the school funding aid formula, and it ensures adequate and equitable school funding for every child in the state of New Jersey. It went to court, and the Supreme Court upheld it, that if fully funded, it satisfied the thorough and efficient clause of our Constitution for the Abbott districts, of which we are one. The formula has not been fully funded since its first year, which was 2009. And over the past 6 years, Paterson's education budget has been underfunded by the state of New Jersey by $173.8 million. And join the battle that we're in against the state of New Jersey to provide adequate funding as is provided under the law. What message are we sending to our children if we keep taking away needed service? And what future do we expect for Paterson if the majority of the students are undereducated and can't earn living wages and can't make civic contributions, can't sit on boards such as these boards? So please join together, put the battle where it belongs. Do not waste energy fighting and auditing and cutting where we can't cut anymore. Join us, Paterson Education Fund, with our statewide partners to fight the battle at the state level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Taxpayer here in the city of Paterson and formerly the executive director of the Paterson Education Fund, where I've been engaged in this battle for 30 years. The school funding formula, which is the law, was created and passed in January of 2008 in response to the Supreme Court saying that our schools were underfunded and our school funding formula was unconstitutional. 4 of us sat in the state legislature in January of 2008, Jonathan Hodges, Errol Carr, Rosie, and myself, and watched the battle as the legislature tried to come to grips with what it needed to do. It was that historic passage of the school funding formula was preceded by months of public hearings before the legislature. Most of the folks that are representing us now were not there at that point, I'll point out to you. And what we were discussing at that point was graduating every kid from high school. That was the goal, to graduate every kid from high school. And we were presented by expert after expert saying that a regular kid would cost a certain amount of money, and if they were English language learners, they would cost twice as much to get to graduation. If they were special ed kids, they would cost 3 times as much to graduation. And now, so the school funding formula has been passed with this in mind, the 2008 formula, with the notion that we're going to get our kids graduated. But folks, the bar's been raised. It's no longer get our kids graduated, it's get our kids graduated college and career ready. And we cannot do that in the circumstances that we are in now. So there are a number of things that we can do collectively and individually ahead of us. Each and every one of us needs to have speed dial to the governor's office, to the commissioner's office, and to our state legislators. We need a delegation from this community that's representing the city council and the school board, taking advantage of the fact that the legislature will be here next week, Wednesday, at Passaic County Community College, to hear citizens' ideas about the budget. We should be there packed strong to tell them that they cannot continue to do this to our kids. It is impossible for us to get the neediest kids in our district across the finish line, to get them into the colleges and get them into the careers that they need to have without the resources. We have to stand up and tell them that and be ferocious. If to do less is to walk away from our kids and see more of them standing on the street corners. Because you know, I've listened to our mayor talk about recently who's creating the problems on our streets. And what I can tell you about that group of people is this: they didn't go to preschool, they didn't read on grade level by the end of 3rd grade, they were chronic absentees and they missed 18 days or more of school a year until they were pushed out onto the street where they are now shooting each other. We can change that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sterling. Ms. Sterling.
Good evening.
Good evening. First, I'd like to welcome the members of the Board of Education and Superintendent to these chambers. I'm somewhat disappointed that Council President Julio Tavares is not here again, but notwithstanding, we'll continue without him. Clearly, there was some misrepresentations in terms of what's going on or what the purpose of this meeting is, and I understand it. But there are 2 issues. One is the one on the budget or shortfall or cliff, as was described, but inevitably there will be a discussion on raising the taxes. It's going to happen. It was last year when it was broached and pushed aside, but it is going to happen because of the reality that we have. And I want to talk to those realities right now. I'm very much disturbed with the thought of raising the taxes when there's fat to cut. Now, people may say this, that they're running slim at 90, Delaware. You can run slimmer.
The fact of the matter is, the business administrator that was brought in at that high salary brought his buddy in at a no-bid award. All these plum jobs that are being handed out at six-figure salaries. Other people that are, and we understand. It goes without saying that there are people that are underpaid and are moving to other districts for more money, but Paterson is poor. This is a poor town. Bottom line, we can't afford to pay some of the salaries that the people are asking for or getting in other places. It's a fact. We know that. And for that, we're suffering. We're suffering with the outcomes. The outcomes are not what they should be. And the fact of the matter is, somebody's got to have the balls to stand up and sue the governor for what he's doing in the underfunding of the Board of Education. Dr. Evans can't do it because he works for the governor. You understand what I'm saying? People don't want to push Dr. Evans or push him out. You know, we got to challenge him, but we got to also say he can't go against his boss. That's his boss. But we can do it here. There's got 9 people sitting up here. Somebody needs to take the bull by the horns, or do something and get a lawyer or some of these high-paid attorneys that come in here. Not you though.
I'm not high-paid.
And bring a suit. Bring a suit against the state for the millions of dollars that we're missing in managing our school system. Anything other than that is derelict. We are derelict by not pushing the button. End of the day, we need to have the proper representation to go and fight for our kids. You're not going to get the money from us. Unless, of course, Dr. Evans, you sign off on it because the governor tells you to do it. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's up to you. At the end of the day, you can't serve 2 masters. It's either us or him. Both of us, there's too much on the plate. It doesn't fit. So that's the reality. That's what I hope will be addressed at some point. And other people need to stand up and say the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gilmore.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Fernandez, and I'm with PEOC, the Parent Education Organizing Council of Paterson, and I'm a parent. I didn't actually prepare anything to say here tonight because I came to watch, because I could not believe that we were actually talking about a 13% tax hike. To think that anyone would actually think that the city of Paterson, that the residents of Paterson, that the people of Paterson can survive a 13% hike is seriously running far too quickly from their office to their car when they leave at the end of the night. You know, I heard a lot of attacks against the Board of Education, and you know, this is our organization and our parents. This is what we do. We are constantly taking the Board of Education to task for ensuring that our students are afforded the quality education that they deserve. So I'm not going to do that tonight, because I think the reality is, the thing that I'm most disconcerted with, the thing that is most disheartening for me, is that the 2 of you are sitting on opposite sides of the table. How many of you were on that side of the table? You know what the education system is. You know what the funding formula is. You know who to point the finger at, and it's not at these folks. I'm disappointed that we're not constantly seeing more of you guys yelling at the governor the way we need to be. That's your job. That's why you were elected. Education, I'm constantly hearing about, you know, the concern of the council when we're talking about crime and business and poverty and hunger, but I'm telling you that each and every single one of those issues comes from the Board of Education. It comes from the decisions that are made there, and it comes from the funding that they get. The fact that they aren't funded adequately is something that we need to be together on and go into the state. Make no mistake, I also believe that we need to be looking at how our money is being spent, where it's going, and how it's being used to educate our kids. But folks, we don't need to be on opposite sides of the table. We need to be hands in hands. And I will be highly disappointed if I don't see your faces come next Wednesday, March 18th at 9:30 in the morning over at PCC. Because if you're not upset about it, there shouldn't be any more votes under your name. That's it.
Thank you.